Recording? I don't know. Yes, it's recording. Wonderful. Hi, everyone. It's Kasia from Tarot Map, and this is the second episode of my Inspired Tarot Map series. And in this episode, I'm hosting Hettienne Grobler, the creatrix of the Mysteries of Mary Tarot, Mary Mysteries Tarot. Sorry, Hettienne, because now I'm waiting for the deck and the Mysteries of Mary Tarot deck. And not only that, also a hostess of the wonderful 30 Days with Mary that many of us did in the community. So I'm hoping that you're going to enjoy today's interview. And we had some technical difficulties, so we have to take a deep breath now. We had a good laugh too, so that's great. And I hope you're seeing two of us. I'm sorry, everybody. The technicality sometimes it just takes over. But this is our lovely Hettienne, our lovely guest. And first of all, Hettienne, before we even start talking, I just wanted to thank you so much for hosting this 30 Days with Mary. It was so wonderful. I didn't expect it at all. And to me, it was also so magical because, you know, I had it on my dream map. I mean, the Mary, I didn't know about the Walking with Mary then. But when I checked it, it was just so incredible. And the experience was so, like, soul opening for me. So thank you so much for hosting this. And I'm sure I'm speaking for many of the tarot community and many of my friends on Instagram because we all were like, wow, this is so amazing. So thank you so much. And welcome to the series. So maybe just introduce yourself quickly. And I like to ask about ancestry a little bit, just to kind of have this sense of where we're coming from, but also maybe your kind of spiritual background or what, you know, like the ancestry even wider understood. So hello, and the voice is to you.
Hello, Kasia. Thank you. Your question might take hours to answer, so I'll have to try and keep it quite short. I'm Hettienne. I live in Cape Town in South Africa. And all of it is actually has been, the whole journey to me has been a surprise as well. Every step of the way has been a surprise. None of it was what I went looking for. None of it was what I thought I'll ever do. None of it was in my frame of reference. And every step of the way, I sort of had to combat that little voice that said, you are mad, you are mad. And I had to combat many other people's voices that said, what are you doing? What? Why? And, well, I have many answers, but not a short one. I grew up Protestant. We speak Afrikaans, which is a derivative of Dutch. And then, well, we have 11 national languages, but the other one that our main other language is English, our South African English, that is. And Mary, I wasn't ever really a religious person. I didn't come from a religious family. I still am not a religious person. But my journey started with my psychic abilities, which was just very difficult. From an early age, I had, I suppose, what you call visions. I never had words for it, dreams. A lot of it's in my books, on my blogs. A lot of it just blew my mind. I was told I'm insane. I was told I'm mad. I was just always met with a shaking of the head and the rolling of the eyes. So a lot of it I had to suppress till I left home. And I went to university. And then being away from my childhood family without the judgment and their fear, a lot of it came to the fore. And I discovered this is incredible. There's so much to it. I can see auras. I sense and read energy. At that stage, I didn't really know what to do with it, but I started with astrology and homeopathy and natural remedies. And while I was studying a degree in languages, which gave me, I came across the poem of T.S. Eliot, The Wasteland. I'll never forget it. I have the book. It was my first year English at university, where I read for the first time ever that there were 42 gods who died on the cross through our civilizations. And I was like, what? I've been lied to. Everything is a lie. I've been lied to all my life. It's been a lie. And I think from there, then getting into literature and art and understanding metaphysics and and philosophy, I just never looked back.
Just went on. So can I ask you, sorry just to interrupt, but so you were brought actually in any particular religion or?
Protestant.
Protestant.
Dutch Reformed Church, which is, of course, the time when I grew up, there were two evils in the world, and the one was communism, and the other one was the Roman Catholic Church.
You just
they were both called.
It's me, basically, because I was brought up in communism, and I was Roman.
And you'll be talking. And
we're not religious now, so that's fine. We can do it.
It's actually just so funny, all of it.
Yeah, it is funny.
And then I started, I don't know, it's 25 years ago, I started with meditation, and I had my own healing practice. I became a spiritual healer, and I had one person who used to come to me, and an Italian man, and every time he walked in, he would say, "Oh, Papa is here." I was like, "Who's Papa?" I said, "No, don't you know Papa?" I said, "No, I don't know Papa." He says, "Papa is here, I can smell him. I smell the roses." And also, whenever, well, a lot of people experience this, when the healing energy starts to flow, it's like a slight breeze starts moving in the room, candles go out, the curtains move, and he would always say, "That's Papa." So eventually, one day, he brought me a tiny little statue from Mont Sant'Angelo in Italy of Archangel Michael, and he said, "You have to go to this place." And I took it in my hand, and this was in 25 years ago, and I took it in my hand and I said, "Yes, I'm going here." It was very different those days. No internet. It was, you didn't just do your bookings, no booking.com, no Airbnb. I had no clue. I flew to Italy, I rented a car, and I drove to this place. And I was the only English-speaking person in that entire village. It was the Archangel Michael Festival, the weekend of the 23rd of September, the year 2000, I think it was. Actually, it was just after 9/11. And I went into that grotto, and it just blew my mind. And there was a Black Madonna, and I walked the the San Gaigiano pilgrimage, because Papa was Padre Pio. So the Padre Pio pilgrimage starts at Mont Sant'Angelo, and it's called the San Gaigiano pilgrimage. And I walked that from church to church. And I just fell in love with Mary and the iconography and the stories and the meaning. But from there, I went to Glastonbury, and for 6 years, every year, and I walked the Michael and Mary ley lines across the land, and then I flew over to Italy. In the next 4 years, I walked in Italy. Still not Mary, really, sort of on the outskirts, not really knowing what to do with this, not really understanding it. So the goddess was much easier for me. The pagan ways I loved the music and the being in touch with nature. Not so sure about the churches, but loved the churches, and bought rosaries and statues. Didn't know what any of it really, really meant. And then I started working with women through myth and music and dance. And I just uncovered this incredible rage and anger and woundedness in women against patriarchy, against religion, against all this, the institutions, the structures that that we all come butt our heads with. And slowly but surely, I started seeing that there is a link, or that there's a hidden story here, and that there's an untold story, a woman's story that is being told, but few and far between. myself included, we tend to become warrior-like and want to go and overthrow everything, and it doesn't work. I learned the hard way, went to Hinduism for a few years and found that the goddess is very much subservient to the male gods in my experience. I followed a guru for a few years. I left because of patriarchy and the whole hierarchy. And then I said, I'm going to create a tarot deck for myself. I wasn't going to share this with anyone else. I've done tarot since I was 16.
Yeah. So here, let me interrupt, because that was one of my questions, and I'm curious about it from the tarot reader perspective. And because also I have a tarot channel and I'm kind of circling this, all these interviews around tarot. So you actually have been using tarot before, you were loving tarot, and yeah.
Yes. I was at school and I walked into the local bookshop. Now this is in the 70s.
Yeah.
And there was a tarot deck. Oh, and I wanted it. I didn't know why I wanted it. And my mother said, no, if you open that box, you let the devil fly out.
And what was it, Rider-Waite-Smith?
Yes. I went back and I bought it.
Thanks, Mom.
And I just hid it away. And I've had hundreds of tarot decks through the years. I just love tarot. For me, there's nothing that says it like tarot. You can look at one card and it's all there. Oh, and today, and that was the other thing. So I wrote it in my journal that I'm going to create a tarot deck for me. I want to open a box and work with cards that tell my story and the story I understand it, and that ignores all this other, what would you call it, veils that people have added, and the way I see it. And no one has to agree with me, because I thought no one's going to agree with me. And so I started. And I did the whole thing. And then I gave to my friends a few, and they said, you can't sit on this. You've got to give it to other people. And I was nervous, what are people going to say? I thought, no one is going to like it. Religious people are going to hate it, and pagans are going to hate it. Where's it going to end?
That's so true, because it's such a controversial subject in a way. It's like if you connect Mary with tarot, like tarot people can hate it, but definitely religious people are going to go like, please burn in hell now. Maybe not all of religious people, of course, but a lot of time we hear this, tarot, no, devil's work. So now you connect it to the Holy Mother, and it's just pure evil.
Yes, and I'm not even Catholic, so what do I know? So yes, I had a lot of fear, but I find that I did set out to show Mary as a bridge for me, it was between the West and the East, because I have and do follow to a certain extent still an Eastern path, but always she was there. It doesn't matter where I go in the world, I see her, and I see the Mother God. I see God, the woman, in all the goddesses and all the religion. And once I started doing some research, I found I'm not the only one, and that actually there's been a lot of academic work being done on Mary and her role, and how she has transcended all religion and dogma in the end, and how personal she is. And that's what I wanted to bring across, because I've discovered that in especially Eastern Europe, the folk tales about Mary is incredible. And those same elements in those folk tales you find in the fairy tales, in the myths, in the Bible, in the Quran. So for me, it was just a small step from there to put this deck together.
So before we move further to the tarot, can I only ask you one question? So when did you have this kind of epiphany that, why with Mary? Why deck not with all the goddesses, for example? Like, why was it just Mary? So when did it click for you that this is about, like, Mary kind of took this role of, why did she end up?
I became a devotee of Mary. I do have some photographs and the story on my blog. I never used to paint. I used to do crafts, but I didn't do any art. And I just had this urge to paint. and I bought an easel and canvases, and I painted 4 paintings in the night, and they were all for Mary. There was no denying it. I looked at it, and it is Mary. They're hanging here in my studio. They've got the rosary, the Sacred Heart. It's Mary. There's no other goddess that I'm looking at. And from there on, it just unfolded. Wherever I turned, it didn't matter. There Mary was, looking at me, talking to me, speaking to me. I couldn't run away, and I just embraced it. And I said, well, I don't understand, and I don't know where this fits in, but it doesn't matter. Eventually, it didn't matter, and I just started working with devotions to Mary, trusting, knowing. It was like a pool, It's like a pool. It felt like I didn't have that much say in it, and I didn't want to fight it. People around me were more incredulous and couldn't understand it, especially my family, and also in the sort of new age, Mary is not really acceptable. And there's a lot of controversy. So it wasn't easy. So I stopped doing what I was doing. I stopped all my women's groups. I closed down my practice. And I sat down in the same studio and I said, right, here I am. Take me on a new path. And I just started journaling, making collages, playing around, and then these shrines started. That became the cards.
So these shrines just came because that's very untypical in a way, way of depicting. And I've never seen a tarot deck based on shrines, let's say.
No,
so it's very unique in this as well. So this artful, that just came out of you at some point. You were just playing.
I started making shrines. And so I started selling them on my Etsy shop. Yeah. And I started doing Mary blogs and explaining my shrines, always explaining myself. I'm not doing that anymore. I'm not doing it anymore. Explaining what do I see in here and why I see it. And, it could be okay. And one day I looked at one of these shrines and I thought, this is the Sun card in the tarot deck. And I had them all, right around here, they're all displayed. And I started looking from one to, oh my word, that's the High Priestess. This is the moon. I didn't realize. I did not realize, that I was creating a tarot deck. I thought my tarot deck was going to be painted or drawings. No, there it was in 3-dimensional. So once I realized that and I started writing it down, putting it into a deck, I started fluffing out the minor arcana stories. It went so fast. It just I think 3 months. And wow. I worked day and night. I made 1 or 2, even 3 shrines a day. And I wrote the book as I went. And
so it kind of worked like you did the shrine and then you wrote
yes,
you already had you had this whole
sort of channeling it. Yes, we all channel all the time. And yes, I would take the shrine and let it speak to me, and then I would write it down, and then I would look at it, and also the themes, the hawthorn, all of that just came from sitting with it, being with the energy, letting the deck tell her story through me. A lot of it I wasn't happy with. A lot of it I thought, sure, I can't say this, I shouldn't say this, and I just closed my eyes and I did it. And I thought those who will relate to it will enjoy it, and those who don't won't. And that's in any case. Well, at that stage it was just me who was going to enjoy it.
Yeah, thank God you didn't.
Yes, but when I wrote the book, it became more real. That other people are also going to be reading this. And yes, and I really was very hesitant in putting it out into the world. But, everyone has just come back with the most beautiful stories. It's like the 30 Days with Mary. I didn't even for a minute think that any of that was going to happen. I've been doing 30 Days of Mary with my temple group, and then just putting it on the blog in case other people read it, would like to do it. And so this year I thought I'll just put it on Instagram. It's so much easier. It's, And it's like, and the feedback, and wow, every day I had goosebumps or tears. It was just wow, wow.
Yeah, and
So
that's the
yeah,
beautiful side of social media, hey, when we kind of had this possibility to share. And it was so interesting with this Walking with Mary, because I saw it posted by Mnomkwa, who is like, you know, I know her Polish, and she's definitely, if I was to box her, she would be pagan or Slavic pagan, definitely nothing to do with religion. So when she posted this, I was going, what? And I read what you wrote, and because I really enjoyed what you wrote on your blog, and the approach that, you know, you maybe had to protect or like explain yourself so many times, to me it spoke and I was just going, this is awesome, I like it. You know, she's not Catholic, she's not coming from a religion background like this, and I'm open to doing work, and but I still didn't expect that it's going to be so deep. And for me, it was also healing a lot of this discord which I had, I think, within myself, because, you know, I was brought up Roman Catholic, and then when I read about the history of Roman Catholic Church, I'm going like, oh, this is so scary, like, go away from me, I'm not interested. And then, you know, but still Mary is there, and how could I, like, in some way it kind of, you know, like, and put all of this for me together nicely, that I don't have this resistance anymore, and I'm still, you know, I haven't changed my views on Catholic Church or on the religion itself maybe so much, but definitely took the edge of me, and this kind of internal anger maybe, or some struggle, it was really quite healing. So it was very fascinating how then a lot of people from tarot community joined, and we had this beautiful, like, I could sense this energy to the time. Was like, when it was finishing, I'm like, no, why is it only 30 days? Like, I'm missing the email every morning and going and doing the practice. It was beautiful. I'm still doing the practice, but it's fascinating. I think now each of us will have to take it in some way into personal realm. So it was amazing. So thank God for Instagram and thank Goddess for all of us participating, and that people actually were brave enough to share, because it's quite personal often. And thank God, I think this beautiful community is very supportive. So it was lovely. I was very deeply moved, and also like you, like when I saw some posts, or you just sense this energy, it was quite tangible.
It was. And in the beginning, everyone was so careful, you know, and hesitant. And I thought, oh. And then once one or two just took that plunge and said, hey, you know what, I'm loving this, then more was felt safe to express.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the reasons why Mary in a tarot deck, because she doesn't belong to the church. You know, she belongs to us, and she always has. And it doesn't matter who does, the mother is never going to disappear. She might go underground and she comes back, but she's always there. And I think that was my message.
Yeah.
And even more so with the Black Madonna. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. So the Mary Tarot is available. Is it available for purchase now, or is it still on pre-order? How does it work?
I have the ones I pre-ordered are sold out, but I have placed another order. It's Africa. It's not as easy as in Europe or the US. The last batch I got I had to send it all back. And so that put me behind. So I'm always behind, it feels like. And then the shipping, oh, my nerves.
I'm still waiting. I'm like, Jesus, yesterday, I don't know if you saw, but I got this parcel, this notification. I'm thinking, this is tracked. That must be the Mary deck.
It wasn't. No, every day now. The last 2 weeks, they've been arriving every day. Every time I get an email, I say, yes, my nerves are finished.
Like, I know it's going to arrive. It's just,
yes, it will.
Oh, please, how long more?
I know.
But as I said to you in our private conversations, like, I had a client when I said my wands, and she was in Cape Town in South Africa, and once she was waiting 4 months. We thought it was lost. I filed complaint to the post office, you know, and she just got it. And she said, and I remember sending to her, because she's purchased a lot of my wands. And in the beginning, it took up to a month, but it wasn't ever too bad. But then you had this postal strike, I think, and
Yeah.
for some reason she said, like, after, you know, she, let's say, has been buying my wands for the last 3 years. So in the beginning was all good, and then the last year she said, like, Kasia, I just can't buy them anymore because it's just, I never know if it's going to arrive. It's just like
No, you
nerve-wracking
can't
waiting for it.
ship in. No, I don't ship in at all. I ship to the US and then I courier my things in. But going out, in 10 years that I have my shop, I've never lost a parcel.
Yeah.
But this year, and I've asked, and they all tell me there's a problem at customs on that side.
But I don't know what's going on, because actually the mail, even from the States,
yes,
takes ages now to get to me. Usually it was 2 weeks and it was like no problem.
Yes, I know.
It's everything, it's really slow. So I don't know if it's the snow, if it's winter, or
I don't know. They said some new scanning system they have put in place. Who knows? All I'm doing, I'm just visualizing them in your hands.
Yes, I know. Me too. I was like I was sure it's going to arrive for the 11th of February. I was like, I see it.
Yes.
And it didn't. I'm like,
oh, someone else got it.
Mary, please. So, can you tell me a little bit more about your new deck, because you're working right now on the Dark Madonna deck? Yes,
Black Madonna. Whoa, it's I don't even know where to start. I don't know why I decided. I didn't decide. It sounds like the story of my life. I didn't decide I'm going to do a Black Madonna tarot. I didn't. I said after the Mysteries of Mary, I'm taking a break and I'm going to paint. Well, I have not done one painting because I've hardly put it down, and I said, that's it, not done. I'm going to take things easy. That I went on a pilgrimage to Italy, on a Black Madonna pilgrimage to Italy. It was a musical dance tarantella pilgrimage with a woman I've done courses with over the years, and it was fun, and I was just going to go and have fun and enjoy and see Italy. Yeah. I love Italy. Wow. The first, it was just wow. And you cannot even explain to anyone the energy. It is different to Mary as I've come to know her, or her iconography. It is a completely different energy. It is much older, much more veiled, much more hidden, extremely powerful. I made a very good friend on this trip, and she went for the music, not into metaphysics or Mary, not the church, not the Black Madonna. That was sort of a side issue. She kept on saying, why are we going to so many churches? I said, well, what did you expect? This is a Black Madonna pilgrimage. No, okay. So just giving you that background, we sat down in front of the Black Virgin of Montevergine, and we both started shaking. We were holding onto the altar where her statue is. We both started shaking. I work with Kundalini, so I know the energy, and it was an absolute Kundalini experience. I don't know how long it went on. Eventually, I touched her hand. I said, let's go outside, because she didn't know what was going on. She didn't know how to cope with it, how to deal with it. And we walked out, and she just hanged onto me and started crying. And it was that absolute cathartic, cleansing, deep, deep experience. And that we went to, I think, 9 Black Madonnas. We had that every time. Eventually, I think we became a bit hooked on it,
Yeah.
So powerful.
Next time nothing happens, it's like, yes, something is wrong.
Something is amazing. And I came back and I said, well, that's it. Black Madonna tarot deck has to be done. And the more research I started doing on it, the more I saw. Well, I went to Shaktra a few years back, and because the Black Madonna is in the Mysteries of Mary deck, there's, I think, 3 or 4 shrines. maybe 5 Black Madonnas. And I went to Chatra a few years ago, and when I went again, she was whitened. As in, yes,
I
the
heard
Madonna.
about it. This is
Yes.
horrible.
Oh,
Why would they do something? I know.
whoa.
I just read that. I watched actually a lecture of a very. We have this beautiful woman here in Poland, Ania Miłońska, and she does a lot of goddess research, and she's fascinated by Black Madonnas as well. Especially that we have the Queen of Poland is a Black Madonna. To nobody asks why is she black, but let's forget about it. But I couldn't believe she said like 5 years ago you could go to Shards and see the Black Madonna. Now she's like
whiter than white, not even white. And the clothes have changed. The clothes she used to wear is traditional for a reason. All of that's taken away. The Notre Dame sur Terre underneath, she's untouched, but I don't think they really regard her as a Mary. I don't know.
Well, probably they do. In the white mind, Mary is very white because she didn't really she didn't really come from Judea or somewhere. She probably is just very white, I mean, I don't have a problem with people, experiencing Mary in their own visions, in their own ways. And so I don't mind if she's black, yellow, white, or whatever, or red. But if she is what she is, don't change it. Especially when it's like history and it's basically kind of a crime scene.
Yeah.
It's like going to Leonardo da Vinci and going, this Mona Lisa doesn't really, the smile is a little bit off. Let's just maybe add a little bit more of a smile here.
Yes.
It's a bit strange.
And so many of the Black Madonnas have been whitened and many have been taken away. If you go to the church, they're not there anymore. They've been put in the back room. I even saw that in Italy. I took some photographs. So then I decided that's another reason to do a Black Madonna tarot, so that it is recorded in places other than academia. My PC is going flat. Can we stop so I can put in the chords?
Yeah, sure. Pause. I can really click pause, okay? Okay, we're back. So let's go back to our conversation.
The first Black Madonna I saw, I didn't realize she was a Black Madonna because she was whitened. And that was in the church at the grotto of Michael in Mont Saint Angela. She's white like chalk. And only now, a few months ago, I discovered in some research that she used to be a Black Madonna.
Oh, so they whitened her as well. And
that was 20 years ago. So
wow.
It's an ongoing renovation being
whitening of the world,
Yeah,
the race of the winners. Here you go.
Yeah, we have to focus more attention on it.
Yeah. So actually, the Black Madonna tarot would be wonderful in preserving all the images who are hopefully not whitened yet.
Yes, there's so many though. It will be impossible to put them all into a deck.
So would you say, Hettienne? Oh, sorry.
No,
would you say that the Black Madonna image came because of Mary Magdalene coming to France? I mean, in Europe, because in Europe there were different.
At this point, I don't think there is one theory. I think that there are many different types of Black Madonna. There's about 50 really, really old Black Madonnas. They're mainly carved from wood in France. There's the connection between the Knights Templar and Mary Magdalene and the Black Madonna. That's one of the connections. Then there is the Black Madonnas in Italy, which has a totally different background. There are links to Black Madonnas obviously coming over from Africa, but even older than the civilizations that we know of. There are also modern Black Madonnas, which is really trying to convey a specific message. So at this stage, I'm going with all of them because I don't know, and I don't think anyone really knows. And that's probably part of the power of the mystery of the Black Madonna, that I do feel the fact that she's Black brings up social issues, brings up discrimination, it brings up more of patriarchy for us to be confronted with. But also for myself, I work with images on a inner level. So for me, she represents all the darkness in ourselves, this whole only light is right, go for the light, light is everything movement, not acknowledging the shadow, not working with your own darkness, not embracing your own darkness, not understanding that we are dark and light, and that darkness is also light. All those issues are more pertinent for me. And then the earth, the blackness of the soil, the old black goddesses, Isis, Demeter, Persephone. And what I saw in Italy is that the Black Madonna is the protectress of all those who are not in my culture. The feminine, the the outcasts, the poor people, the socially unacceptable people.
But that's interesting that it's like Durga or Kali in India as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, and then Kali, and then actually that's how I made the connection, was through Sara Lakali. Because at that stage I was still with a Hindu community in India. And when I left the guru, I went to Sara Lakali because I said there is a bigger picture here and they don't have it and they don't have it. It's somewhere in the middle. And Sara Lakali encompasses that, with being Black from, they don't even really know where. There's so many stories about who Sarah is. She might be the princess, she might be the daughter, she might be the servant, she might be a gypsy Roman queen, Romani queen, but still, and her name is Lakali.
Mm.
And the other thing that I found very insightful was outside the church, as part of the festival, little girls were handing out Sara holy cards and Lakshmi holy cards at the same time.
Interesting. Because I just remembered also when you were talking that I also was drawn at some point to Hinduism, and one of my gurus was Amma, she's
Hugging
from Kerala. Yes,
yes,
the hugging saint. And I remember that despite the fact that, we can't probably really think of God or divinity, male or female, like it's everything, but I was so drawn to seeing a woman in the position of priestess. And she was always smelling of those amazing rose and sandalwood. Have you seen her? Did you get a hug from her?
Yes.
She always smells of this amazing roses and sandalwood. And she, like when you go to visit her or like when she comes somewhere, she always does also Durga impersonification when she transforms herself into Durga. And there is this puja, and the burning of fire and purification of water, and then everybody gets the water. So it's very powerful also. And I remember that with her, I had this similar experience, which we were saying about, visiting this Black Madonna figure in Italy. When you were shaking, it's like this catharsis when you can't stop crying. You're like bawling your eyes out. Like I got this hug, and then I walked aside, and I was just like, thinking, Jesus, what's happening to me? Jesus, help! So it was fascinating to actually. I just remembered so many stories during those 30 days with Mary from my life that kind of I put on, the far memory. So it was really interesting. Yeah, so okay, so the deck is, how many cards do you have already done?
16 only. I'll show you. Look, this is one of them.
Wow.
This is the Black Madonna of San Foggio in Italy. I can't remember her full name right now, which we visited. And this is the Black Virgin of Paris.
Wow. Oh, they look so amazing live, the altars. Wow.
Yes,
And you write this
very different.
3D, it makes it very like, you wish the cards could be 3D even, you know, like how can you make it like, and smell of roses.
I'll do my best to try that. Yeah, and I've done 16. I'm going to start sharing them soon, but they are taking very long. It's a very different experience. For me, it doesn't come from my head, so I don't plan it. I don't sit and decide, this is who she is, I've got to put this in, I've got to add this to represent to what I saw in the church. I connect with her energy, with that Black Madonna's energy, and then it just flows. It looks like chaotic here when I work, and everything is everywhere and upside down, and I pull things out, and I have to tidy up every second week. But by the time it's done, then it's wow. Then I put her there, and then later I will do the research and start writing the story, and I will look at it and say, wow, I didn't know that, that was, it's quite a process. So you have to trust a lot. And I make most of the elements I make by hand. So that takes a lot of time. I do most of it with clay, and I want to start sewing some of it for this deck. So that also takes a lot of time. Plus, I find that my own life gets involved. Things change around me in a big way when I work. So I try to put it off at times, I try to take a break and close the door and walk away. Doesn't really work, but I try.
I tried to decide again, but it didn't.
No, and I can't, and when I did the first deck, I used talk about it a lot because it was such a new experience, and I used to complain a lot because my physical and life changes, my emotional life changes. I have to work through issues, I have to work through stuff, I have to work through relationships, I have to make peace with things, I have to forgive people, otherwise I can't carry on. And but this time I now know, so I'm just quiet and I'm accepting it, and I get sick a lot from working with energy. I get nothing serious, but I get symptoms, and then I have to take it easy. I just drink juices for a few days, cleanse. So many emotions come up that I don't know from where, memories, dreams. When I'm really immersed, I hardly sleep. It is, and I keep journals of the dreams, and a lot of those dreams I then put into the book.
Wow.
So it's really not just the same as doing some of my art. It's a labor of love.
Wow, but it sounds like a very deep process of creating.
Very deep process.
It's very interesting what you said about not planning, because even when I make my wands, and I don't feel like, I'm working with any particular energy when I try, but I noticed over the years when people were going, oh, can I do like custom order? And I can't do custom orders because I never know what I'm going to do. And when I start to plan, like, oh, I'm going to do a wand, let's say for self-acceptance or whatever, solar plexus or something, it just never comes. So I'm like, and whenever I try to like put the energy into something, decide and make it happen, like I just didn't enjoy the process. So I always say, no, sorry, I can't do it, because I just really have to do what just comes. And then everything just flows, and I know straight away what it's for, and then I describe it, and if it fits you, that's great. But also very messy everywhere. Like, and I don't even have a studio, so I have to do it in the lounge room and then share it with my husband. He just comes sometimes and like, please clean it later on. So that's interesting as a creative process. I think it's part of this deep connection that you kind of catch. And I mean, everybody probably works differently, but I definitely recognize this particular sense of not knowing. And what's interesting, how the research then backs up this intuitive.
Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing. Do I want to ask you about, I think probably we're going to slowly finish. I don't want to. But I noticed that like it's best to keep it around an hour, because then everybody can watch it and nobody gets like, it's just too much info sometimes. Yeah, maybe, I don't think anybody will get bored, but it's just sometimes so much upload that 1 hour seems just okay. So as the last question, which I want to make a tradition during these interviews, I would like every of my guests to maybe share like a little message or a simple way that you use tarot, and how, like, it could be a spread, it can be an exercise, anything that you could share with our audience so that they can maybe try it out at home. Because one of my intention about this series in general is, first of all, to show beautiful people who are all around the globe, but also show how unscary tarot can be, and how there are so many various ways of using tarot aside from divination and this typical gaming or whatever, but that there's so much more we can do with tarot cards. So if you could share something, that would be lovely.
I think I'm a lazy tarot person because I don't really do spreads. I work intuitively. So what I do, and I do tarot every day for myself, have done for years. I take my deck and I just sit with it for a while, putting my intent in my head, just not always even having a question. And then I would shuffle it and just take the first card that falls out or that's on top. And then I journey with the card. That is really my practice. I just become quiet and I connect with the character in the card. And then I do a journey. I will.
And how do you do it?
I start with I might start with a sentence. I would look at the card and let her or him say to me something. So you read it intuitively. Like you look at a picture and you think regal. And I'll just go with regal. And then let my imagination take over, because our imagination is our divinity, isn't it? And then I actively engage and let her take me down a path. I do this every day with my Mysteries of Mary deck, and it's never the same story. When I look at the card, it's never the same feeling, the same word, the same line, never. And when she's taken me to a place and I feel that's it, I'll take another card, and then she will take me further down. And when I put them down, I have a vision for the day. I have input, I have answers, I have a vision for myself, and all the questions do get answered that way. And if there's symbols, I always have my book with me. If symbols come up, if I see a waterfall, I'm just keeping it simple, a cloud formation, whatever, in this journey where we're walking or going or flying or sailing, I sometimes go on boat rides, then I just jot those down. And then tonight, before I go to bed, I always have a practice as well. And then I'll go through that list and see. And that's how I've learned, is where those things came up today, and they do. And why were they there in the first place? What were they telling me? What were they asking me? What were they calling? Because it's like I feel like a child tugging on your skirt the whole day. Mummy, look, and you're busy and busy and busy, and the child's tugging. And by the end of the day, I see what the tugging was about, where my attention was drawn. And that has made me much more aware, conscious. I take in much more at the same time than what I used to, because the tugging is now conscious in simple things, ordinary things, hearing a bird and just stopping for a second. And those two thoughts, the sound and the thought finds one another in you. Seeing, like the hawthorn, I walked outside And I didn't plant the hawthorn. I don't know when, and a bird must have dropped its seed. I don't know when it was growing. I never noticed. I walked out, there was this huge hawthorn right by my front door.
Wow,
And
that's
I
interesting.
connected with it. That was a whole suit in the Mysteries of Mary deck, because then I just like, whoa. And
Yeah.
that's how I live my life. It's intuitive, not rational or logical, but yeah, works
Yeah,
for
but
me.
that's beautiful practice. And I think it's so interesting what you said about imagination, because it's also, I feel like, I want to be like a, not muse of imagination, but like, people, imagination is great, like follow your imagination, because it's often like so swept aside. Oh, I just imagine things, but that's
Yes.
right, keep imagining them. If you can imagine something, that's wonderful, that takes you places. Anything that was created here, it's been imagined at some point. So
And your imagination is immaculate. It's an immaculate conception,
oh yes, that's
you know?
beautiful.
So it's sacred. For me, it is sacred.
Mm. Well, I think that's a beautiful note to finish our conversation. Don't go yet, Hettienne. I'm just going to stop recording. Thank you, everybody, for watching, and I hope you guys enjoyed it and that you feel inspired. And yeah, we're waiting for your comments, or if you have any questions, just please write it down in the comments and we'll try to answer later on. But I hope it was very extensive and beautiful. And thank you for watching. Thank you, Hettienne, for your beautiful interview and your presence.
Thank you.
And I'd speak to you soon, guys. Bye.